I spent 30 years in tech, and I know that the most dangerous system is the one with no redundancy. Most men today are living with a single point of failure, their job, and zero backup. You think you're wealthy because of the car in the driveway, but in reality, you're just a well-funded hostage. Let me explain what I mean by that. Because it's going to sting. You make $140,000 a year, good salary. Top 15% of earners in this country. You drive a nice truck. You live in a house with a mortgage that makes you feel accomplished every time you pull into the garage. Your wife has a car payment. Your kids are in activities that cost $300 a month each. You eat out twice a week. You've got a gym membership, a streaming bundle, a subscription box nobody's canceled, and a phone plan that somehow costs $260 a month for 4 people. And if your employer called you into a room tomorrow morning and told you your position had been eliminated, you would have approximately 47 days before the math starts breaking, before the credit card becomes the bridge loan, before the second mortgage conversation starts, before the anxiety keeps you up at 3 a.m. doing calculations on your phone in the dark while your wife sleeps, and you realize that every single thing you built was resting on one assumption, that the paycheck would never stop. That's not wealth. That's a hostage situation with granite countertops. I meet men like this constantly. High earners, hard workers, good fathers, smart, disciplined men who have done everything they were told to do, get the degree, land the job, buy the house, fund the retirement account. And they have zero structural resilience, not because they're irresponsible, because nobody ever taught them the difference between income and sovereignty. Income is what flows in. Sovereignty is how long you survive when the flow stops. This is structural stability from my book, Iron Logic. And the core principle is brutally simple. Wealth is not what you earn. Wealth is not what you own. Wealth is how many days you can sustain your life without a single dollar of new income. That number, days of sovereignty, is the only financial metric that actually measures your freedom. Everything else is theater. Let me give you the equation right now because I don't believe in burying the lead. Total accessible liquid cash divided by your daily burn rate. That's your days of sovereignty. Liquid cash means money you can access within 72 hours without selling an asset at a loss, without borrowing, without penalty. Not your retirement account, not your home equity, not your stock portfolio that takes 3 days to settle and could be down 30% when you need it. Cash in an account that you can wire, withdraw, or transfer by Friday if you need it Monday. Your daily burn rate is every dollar that leaves your life on a recurring basis divided by 30. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, food, fuel, subscriptions, debt payments, kids' activities, everything. Be honest with the number. Most men underestimate their burn rate by 20 to 30% because they forget the irregular expenses. The car registration, the annual insurance premium, the dentist visit, the property tax installment. Add it all up, divide by 30. That's your real daily number. Now divide your liquid cash by that daily burn. If the answer is less than 180, you don't have 6 months of runway. If it's less than 90, you don't have 3 months. And if it's less than 30, which for a staggering number of men earning 6 figures, it is, you are one event away from financial collapse, one layoff, one medical emergency, one divorce filing, one lawsuit, one bank error that freezes your account for 2 weeks, one event, and the entire structure caves. That's fragility. And fragility is the default state of the modern American man, because the entire consumer economy is engineered to keep you there. Think about it. Every message you receive from the culture, advertising, social media, peer pressure, the real estate agent, the car dealership, the financial advisor selling you products with a 2% management fee, every message is designed to convert your income into obligations as fast as possible, to keep the gap between what flows in and what flows out as narrow as possible. Because the narrower that gap, the more dependent you are on the system continuing to function exactly as it has. And dependent people are controllable people. They don't quit jobs they hate. They don't start businesses. They don't take asymmetric bets. They don't walk away from abusive situations. They can't. The math won't let them. This is where the chaos buffer enters the picture. And I need to be precise about what this is, because it is not an emergency fund. An emergency fund, the way your financial advisor describes it, is 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account just in case. It's defensive. It's passive. It's an insurance policy against bad luck. The chaos buffer is different. The chaos buffer is an offensive weapon. It is 6 to 12 months of total liquid coverage, not expenses, total burn rate, that exists for one purpose: to give you the structural freedom to make sovereign decisions. The chaos buffer is the physical base of your financial sovereignty. That's from my book, The Strong Hold, and the concept is redundancy. In engineering, any system designed to survive real-world conditions has redundant components. 2 generators instead of 1. Backup communications, a secondary cooling system. Not because you expect both to fail simultaneously, but because a system with a single point of failure is a system that will eventually fail catastrophically. Your finances are a system. Your job is a single point of failure. The chaos buffer is your backup generator, but it's more than insurance. The chaos buffer is what allows you to take bets from my book, Rig the Game, the asymmetric risk framework. You can't place a cap downside bet if you don't have a buffer that absorbs the downside. You can't spend a weekend building a speculative product. If your weekend is consumed by a side hustle, you need to keep the lights on. You can't walk away from a toxic employer if walking away means missing your mortgage in 45 days. The chaos buffer isn't protection against chaos. It's permission to operate within chaos on your own terms. 6 months is the minimum. 12 months is the target. I know men who keep 18 months liquid. They're not paranoid. They're sovereign, because the man with 12 months of runway negotiates differently. He speaks differently. He carries himself differently. His employer can feel it. His clients can feel it. His wife can feel it. There's a calm that comes from knowing in your nervous system that no single external event can put you on the street. That calm is not the absence of stress. It's the presence of structural options. And options in any negotiation, professional, financial, relational, are the source of all power. Now let's talk about the thing that's eating your buffer before you even build it: debt. Debt is not a financial tool. I know that contradicts what every personal finance influencer and MBA professor tells you. I don't care. In the context of personal sovereignty, debt is a structural liability. Full stop. Every dollar you owe is a dollar of future freedom you've already spent. Every interest payment is a tax on your sovereignty, paid directly to someone who has more power than you, precisely because you borrowed from them. I'm not talking about a mortgage on a primary residence. If you have a fixed rate mortgage on a house you can afford, And by afford, I mean the payment is less than 25% of your take-home pay. That's a structured obligation that in most markets is more efficient than renting. I can live with that. What I can't live with is the car loan, the credit card balance that rolls month to month, the personal loan you took to fund a vacation, the student debt you're still servicing at 38, the business line of credit with a variable rate that could double in 18 months. Each of these is a chain link, and every chain link reduces your days of sovereignty because your daily burn rate includes every minimum payment on every debt you carry. That car payment of $640 a month, that's $21 a day added to your burn rate. That credit card minimum of $400, another $13 a day. You haven't bought a single thing with that money. You're just servicing the memory of things you already consumed. And every dollar of debt service is a dollar that can't go into your chaos buffer. Here's the math that most men refuse to face. If your daily burn is $280 and your liquid cash is $22,000, your days of sovereignty is 78, just over 2.5 months. Now strip out the debt payments. Let's say your car loan and credit card add $63 a day to your burn. Without those, your daily burn drops to $217. Same $22,000 in cash now buys you 101 days. You just gained 23 days of freedom, nearly a full month, by eliminating debt. Not by earning more, not by getting a raise, by removing a structural liability that was compressing your runway every single day. That's why I tell every man I mentor, before you build the chaos buffer, kill the debt. Not because the interest rate math is always optimal. Sometimes it isn't. Because debt is a psychological and structural chain that keeps you in the drift. The man carrying $40,000 in consumer debt doesn't think like a sovereign. He thinks like a debtor. He makes decisions from a position of obligation rather than option. He stays in the job because he has to. He avoids the asymmetric bet because he can't absorb even a trivially small downside. He negotiates from weakness because his daily burn rate is a number controlled by creditors, not by him. The debt doesn't just cost money, it costs agency. And agency is the only currency that actually matters. I'll give you a real scenario. I had a mentee, early 40s, made $170,000 as a senior director at a logistics company. Solid career, good reputation. And he was miserable. The company was being run into the ground by new leadership, and he knew it. He could see the decisions being made that would gut the department in 18 months. He had 2 offers from smaller firms that would have paid him less up front, but given him equity and autonomy. Better long-term bets, asymmetric bets. He turned both down. Why? Because he was carrying a $780 car payment, $22,000 in credit card debt from a kitchen renovation, and a mortgage that took 40% of his take-home. His days of sovereignty was 31, 1 month. He couldn't survive the gap between leaving and the new compensation kicking in. He couldn't absorb even a 2-week delay in a signing bonus, so he stayed. He watched the company deteriorate for another 14 months. Then they laid him off anyway. He got the severance, 12 weeks, and burned through it in 10 because his burn rate was so high. He took the first offer that came, a lateral move with no upside, because he had no runway to be selective. That's what debt does. It doesn't just charge you interest, it forces you into decisions that compound in the wrong direction. It turns a sovereign man into a hostage who knows he's a hostage, but can't do the math to escape. Every decision he made from that position of fragility was a worse decision than the one he would have made with 12 months of buffer behind him. The job he took was a symmetric bet. trading time for a paycheck, when the opportunity he'd turned down was the kind of asymmetric play that could have changed his trajectory for the next decade. Debt didn't just cost him money, it cost him the future. So here's the Sovereign Audit, the protocol for stripping your life down to the structural essentials and rebuilding from a position of solvency. Step 1, calculate your days of sovereignty right now. Pause the video if you have to. Liquid cash divided by daily burn, write the number down. Don't round up. Don't include assets you can't liquidate in 72 hours. Be brutal with yourself. Step 2, list every recurring obligation, every subscription, every payment, every membership, every auto renewal. Most men have between 12 and 25 recurring charges they've forgotten about or stopped using. Cancel every single one that doesn't directly contribute to your physical health, your professional capability, or your family's basic needs. The gym stays, the streaming bundle goes, the meal kit service goes. The app subscriptions you haven't opened in 3 months, go. Every dollar you reclaim is a dollar that lowers your daily burn and extends your runway. Step 3, attack the debt. Smallest balances first, not because the interest rate math favors it, but because the psychological momentum of eliminating a liability entirely is worth more than the few dollars you'd save by optimizing for APR. Every debt you kill removes a line from your burn rate permanently. It's not a one-time gain. It's a structural reduction in your daily cost of living that compounds every single day forward. Step 4, automate the buffer. Every dollar that comes in above your stripped down burn rate goes directly into the chaos buffer account, not the investment account, not the brokerage. A separate, boring, liquid savings account that you do not touch for anything other than true structural emergencies or deliberate asymmetric bets. The automation is critical because willpower is unreliable. If the transfer happens before you see the money, it happens. If you have to decide each month, it won't. The goal is simple. Get your days of sovereignty above 180. That's 6 months. That's the threshold where your nervous system starts to relax, where your decision-making shifts from reactive to strategic, where you can sit across the table from your boss, your client, your spouse, or your business partner and operate from a position of structural independence, not arrogance, independence. The calm that comes from knowing you don't need this deal, this job, this arrangement to survive. The man with 180 days of runway doesn't flinch. He doesn't accept the first offer. He doesn't stay in situations that corrode his self-respect. He doesn't nod along in meetings where bad decisions are being made because he can't afford to be the one who pushes back. He has the structural freedom to be honest, to be selective, and to be dangerous. Not because he wants to burn bridges, but because he can afford to. And that affordability changes everything about how he moves through the world. Let me tell you what happens psychologically when you cross the 180 threshold. It's not gradual. It's a phase shift. One day you're running calculations in the shower, managing anxiety about hypothetical layoffs, and subtly deferring to people who have authority over your paycheck. The next day, and it genuinely happens this fast once the number is real, you feel a stillness in your chest that wasn't there before. You sit in a meeting and you say the thing you've been holding back for 2 years. Not because you've suddenly become brave, because the structural consequence of saying it has been neutralized. The worst they can do is fire you. And you've already done the math. You'd be fine for 6 months. You'd be fine. That's the moment your Sovereignty OS comes online. When the financial base is secure, every other protocol runs cleaner. Your promises kept ratio improves because you're not burning cognitive bandwidth on financial stress. Your vetting gauntlet gets sharper because you're not keeping people in your circle for economic reasons. Your 10-bet experiment becomes possible because you have the runway to absorb the losses. The chaos buffer isn't just a financial protocol. It's the foundation layer that makes every other protocol operational. Without it, the entire system runs on hope. With it, the system runs on math. Wealth is not what you buy. It's how long you can survive without a master. Calculate your number. Kill the debt. Build the buffer. And stop confusing a high income with a free life. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It keeps the motor running. And if you'd like to learn more, check out my books on Amazon or click the links below.